Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me today. Before we begin talking about the beautiful but also challenging role of being parents, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Lourdes Rodriguez. I'm the Senior Coordinator for the Child Care and Family Resources here at the Life and Work Connections, a unit at the Human Resources Division that is devoted to the employees' wellness. I have worked in the early childhood field for over 30 years, performing different roles. I was a teacher, school director, professional coaching, and others. And now I have the opportunity to support parents in the university community with their family needs and to help them to become more confident. So let's begin. First, let's review the goals for today's webinar. I would like to clarify the most common misconceptions on child raising, to understand the basic of parenthood, and hopefully help you to become a more confident parent. The moment we find out that we are expecting a baby, you probably can relate to this, we become the recipients of numerous advice. Either we request it or not, people eagerly share all their experience and belief. However, regardless the good intentions, not all these suggestions are appropriate or are not even real ones. Let's play a little true and false game. I'm gonna pull over a poll. I hope you are able to see it now. I will invite you to answer the 6 questions. I will give you a few minutes to do so, and then I will start answering each of these questions. So please go ahead and answer the true or false questions. Just to confirm, okay, now I'm receiving answers, so I know that you can see the poll. I just wanted to double check. Let me wait a few seconds more until everybody submit their answers. We are almost there. Okay, thank you everyone for answering. Let's start talking about each of these statements. The first one, you have to wait 60 minutes after eating before swimming. It's false. Surprising? According to the American Red Cross, it's usually not necessary for you or your child to wait an hour before going in the water. However, it is recommended that you wait until digestion has begun, especially if you had a big meal or if you plan to vigorously swim. The tale is based on the mistaken idea that the stomach will take away some oxygen that you needed for your muscles while swimming. The reality is that people have more than enough oxygen to supply to both systems, the digestive system and the skeletal one. The average meal will have no impact on your ability to swim or wade in the water. Second one, eating carrots will improve your eyesight. Ooh, I heard that many times, especially my grandma, who was trying to force me to eat carrots. Now I do, but at a younger age, it was a hard one. It's false. This tale may have started during the Second World War, when the British intelligence spread a rumor that their pilots had remarkable night vision because they ate many carrots. The reality, they didn't want the Germans to know that they were already using radars. So yes, carrots and many other vegetables hiding vitamin A do help with your eyesight, but eating more than the recommended daily allowance won't improve your vision. See how sometimes we receive good and not so reliable advice? Let's go with the next one. If you want your child to wake up late, he should go to bed late. Again, false. Putting a child at bed at 10 p.m. and hoping that they will sleep through the night until 10 a.m. is wishful thinking. As painful as it is to accept, waking up at 6 a.m. may be part of your child's natural rhythm. Intentionally keeping up your child up late until it's very tired or upset will sure backfire, and it's gonna guarantee you a restless sleep. The next one, wearing shoes will help the child to walk. False, especially the younger ones. Keeping a baby barefoot can help them strengthen the foot muscles, and it will help the child to learn to walk earlier. However, once the child is walking, like a toddler, then they need comfortable shoes that really fit them well. Shoes should conform to the shape of a child's feet and provide a little extra room for growth. So buying them a little, not a lot, but just a little bigger, it's helpful. An infant walker will help a baby learn to walk sooner. This is a very, very common one and that I heard, and it's false. Actually, if the baby spend their active hours in walkers, they may learn to sit, to crawl, and to walk later than the children that are not using these devices. Sitting an infant in a walker with a wide tray and small leg openings actually blocks the visual feedback that they can receive from the legs to learn how to walk. I'm going to go a little farther. The American Academy of Pediatrics is recommending a ban on all mobile infant walkers because data indicate a considerable risk of injuries and even death have occurred. And let's go with the last one. Going outside with wet hair will make you sick. This is another one that my grandma was always telling me, stay indoors. Well, it's false. Cold weather, wet hair, and chills won't cause a cold. Viruses do. People tend to catch colds more often in the winter because these viruses are spread more easily indoors when we are content with dry air and with other people with colds. So if you add these two together, it will lower your resistance to infections. If you get sick after going outside with wet hair, chances are that you already had the germs and was only an unfortunate coincidence. So let's discuss other more comments that probably you already have heard as well. My kid slept through the night when he was 3 months old. Oh, this really makes you uncomfortable because yours are not sleeping through the night. But do not compare children. Each baby has different sleeping needs and patterns, and none is right or wrong. The other common comment, bottle feed your baby is not good. Well, of course, breastfeeding should be your first option, but sometimes, for whatever reasons, it is not possible, and it is okay to use bottles. The reasons are different, and it's a decision that you need to discuss with your pediatrician or your medical practitioner. So if you cannot breastfeed and are using bottles, don't let others make you feel guilty. Another common one after a C-section. Oh, you couldn't give birth. Having a C-section is not a failure. Actually, it is a blessing that you and your baby were able to stay safe and healthy. It doesn't make you lesser mom. When you are looking for a child care facility, they say, this is the best early childhood program. You cannot enroll your child anywhere else. This is the one you need to take them. Children and families' needs are diverse. There's no perfect fit, no perfect program for everyone. You need to look for your child's best well-being, and it's not necessarily the same that your neighbors or your relative. And last, women with postpartum depression cried all the time, or, oh, don't worry, it's just 4 months. So it could go both ways, either overreacting or ignoring at all. But just be aware that postpartum depression is real, and we will cover this topic a little later. So let's start learning some basic about this wonderful journey that is parenthood. How do children learn? How can we support brain development? Our brains are in constant change and continue growing and developing until the later stages of life, when, of course, it does at a slower pace. Studies show that 90% of the brain develops during the first 5 years of life, setting the foundation for the future. The brain's plasticity, which is the ability to change and to adapt, or in other words, to learn, it's higher during childhood. What matters more to promote brain development? What matters more, nature or nurture? Well, the answer is both. For example, each of us is born with the potential to learn a language, and our brains are programmed to recognize human speech, the difference between individual speech sounds, to put words and meaning together, and to pick up the grammatical rules. However, the particular language each child will master will be the one that he or she spent hours listening and speaking to others even before birth. So genetic potential is necessary, but DNA alone cannot teach a child to talk. Each experience creates a synapse or a connection in the child's brain. These synapses are strengthened or weakened as needed. A child's brain develops millions of connections to create the foundation for future ones. Some of these connections will be trimmed or cut out, or the appropriate term is pruned, when no longer needed. Children benefit from normal and intentional daily interactions. When we talk to them while we are changing their diapers, when we describe what we are doing when we are dressing them, or even when we make funny sounds while we feed them, they are learning new words, new things, and experiences in a natural, but at the same time, intentional way. Research shows that the quality of a child's experiences in their first 5 years help shape how their brain develops. Kids with positive, stable relationship with parents and caregivers, as well as quality childcare and preschool experiences, go on to do better in school and life. Serve and return interactions shape brain architecture, and this is a term that I really want to emphasize. When the adult responds appropriately with eye contact, with words, or even a hug to an infant's or young children's gestures, cries, neural connections are built in the child's brain. This supports the development of communication and social skills. I'm pretty sure you already watched or have the opportunity to enjoy this video. I'm gonna share the video for those who haven't had the opportunity as a great example of serve and return.
Okay. They need to work on that, right? Yes, okay. Did you understand it though? No. Okay. All right. Huh? Oh, no, not this one. This is the grand finale of this. Yeah, that's the last one. That's what I was wondering. I don't know what they're gonna do next season because they did some stuff this time. Exactly what I was thinking. Oh yeah. Right, don't bring that in. You know what I'm saying? Don't do the same stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah. Like go somewhere else with that, but don't bring it here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what I said. And then was like, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, what in the world? But don't do it here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Really? I thought the same thing. We think a lot alike, huh? Oh, that's crazy. Right.
Isn't that a great example of serve and return? That's exactly what I want you to do with your children. Playful if you want to. Let's talk the next topic, crying. Some babies cry more than others. Some parents panic when their child cries. Others have no patience to soothe a child. But honestly, what can be done? First, remember that crying is one of the baby's earliest meaning of communication, and that it's their human nature. Crying interconnects to the child's sleeping, feeding, and needs. Therefore, it's an important first step for parents to try to understand why the baby is crying. When a baby cries, it is almost like a fire alarm going on the parent's brain. But if after trying for a while the crying doesn't stop, this will affect the parent's ability to be calm and to think logically. Babies really tune in to parents' emotional state. So if you stress out, the baby will do the same and the crying won't stop. Studies show that there is a peak of crying in babies at around a month and a half or two. But by 3 to 4 months, this usually and hopefully, right, diminishes significantly. Opinions about the use of a pacifier are split. If your baby is breastfed, it is recommended to wait until breastfeeding is fully established before you try a pacifier. Sorry. On the other hand, there is some data that pacifiers are a good tool against the sudden infant death syndrome. Remember, a pacifier is not a substitute for attentive care, but just a help when all the child's needs have been taken care of, but still crying. The use of pacifiers to soothe baby is a decision that families should discuss with their pediatrician or health provider. Finally, parents and caregivers should never, never ignore a baby's cry. Verify the possible reasons. Verify everything. The diaper is hungry, all that you usually do. If there is no reason for the crying, but you are feeling overwhelmed and you already try your whole repertoire, it is okay to put the baby down and give you both, the baby and yourself, a little break. 5 to 10 minutes won't harm your baby and will allow you to catch up breath and go back and try again. If this no apparent reason crying continues, discuss it with your pediatrician or health provider. The good news is that children change. So a fussy baby will not necessarily become a fussy toddler. But regardless of your child's age, always have a lifeline or a resource to call when needed. It is very helpful and recommended to have a friend, a neighbor, or a relative that you can call for help or simply to talk when you need to if you are on the verge of losing control. Avoid waiting until the last minute. Learn to recognize your own limit and look for help before you reach your tolerance threshold. Do not be afraid to ask for help. It's normal. After all, remember, it is completely normal to feel frustrated when you cannot conform your baby. If you cannot comfort your baby, don't feel bad. Look for help. There's nothing more peaceful or relaxing than to observe a baby sleeping. However, many times when we finally got them to sleep, we are too exhausted to enjoy it after all the effort done to accomplish this magical moment. Few guidelines about sleeping. First, the Safe to Sleep campaign. Always remember the ABC to Safe to Sleep, which means alone, on their back, and in a crib. Baby's crib should be free of everything, meaning no pillows, no toys, no bumpers, no blankets. It should have a firm mattress that fit the actual crib, and the bedding should also be a tight one or the appropriate one for that bed. Babies should share the room, but not the bed. Parents can inadvertently suffocate their children when they are sharing the bed. Do not hang anything around the baby's neck or in the crib, and dress them with a one-piece clothing. Do not overdress them because you will overheat them. A good rule is to always dress your child with one extra layer of clothing that you are using, and that will be enough. And of course, no smoking around the baby. Babies and children have different sleeping needs and patterns. This chart shows you the recommended number of hours of sleeping appropriate for different ages, including the naps. And again, it will be, as you can see, there's a range of hours, so not all children will fall into the same amount of hours daily. Some final suggestions. Always follow the recommendations previously shared to lower the risk of sudden infant death syndrome. Develop a routine that accommodates your child's needs and be consistent. Bedtime routines help babies learn when it's time to go to sleep. It's easy when they know that this is coming. Beginning around at, I would say, like 4 months of age, you can help your child baby learn to fall asleep on his own by putting him to sleep when he's drowsy but not already asleep. Learning to fall asleep on their own also helps them get back to sleep when they awakens in the middle of the night. Before you start a routine, try to learn and read your child's signs, like when they are rubbing their eyes or getting a little more irritable or start yawning, so you know when to start the routines. Avoid TV time prior to bedtime. Remember, reading a book is always the best. The American Academy of Pediatrics does not recommend sharing your bed with your baby or your children. If you choose to have your baby near you while sleeping, you might consider using a co-sleeping attachment, the ones that go on the side of your bed, or placing a bassinet or a little crib close to your bed. Depriving your child of nap time not necessarily will improve or increase the hour he or she will sleep, as I mentioned before, because an overtired or overexcited children usually have more difficulties to fall to sleep. Adjust their routines to balance the sleeping hours throughout the day. Children need to take at least some calm down time during the day as well. Depression during and after pregnancy can affect both moms and dads. Postpartum blues affect 50 to 75% of new parents during the first 2 weeks after the baby's arrival. Tiredness, new responsibilities, and even hormones may produce mild symptoms that are considered normal. Postpartum depression affects 10 to 13% of new parents during their first child year. Symptoms can be moderate to severe, and relatives and friends should not underestimate the impact this can have on the family's well-being. Suggest looking for professional help if symptoms persist or worsen. Postpartum psychosis is a severe medical emergency that occurs in a very small percentage of new parents. As I previously mentioned, depression is not only a mom's problem. Between 2 to 25% of dads also experience it. Depression jeopardizes the interactions with the baby. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommend that all mothers should be routinely screened for depression during pregnancy and also at 1, 2, 4, and 6 months after childbirth. Recently, doctors have started to screen fathers as well. Early identification of depressed fathers helps in accessing support and treatment so that they can remain present and positively involved with their family. The sooner they start, the better. If you experience or know someone who is experiencing parental depression, be empathic and provide support. The earlier the family receives help, the better the chances of not affecting the baby's emotional development. Do not ignore the signs. Be proactive. Another main concern for parents is how to identify if their child's development is appropriate. We are always comparing, or I'm wondering, is my child delayed? Or is okay? Let's learn some basic about development. First, all areas of development affect each other or are interconnected. For example, if the child has a hearing difficulty, language will be compromised. If the child's eyesight is limited, mobility can be affected. Children have individual rates of development and learning style. All children develop in the same order, following the same path. For example, hold their head, they sit, then stand, they crawl, and then walk. But not all of them will follow the same pace. They talk, walk, or even learn to use the potty at different times. Some children are visual learners, very good observants. Others are auditory learners and need music and noise around them to learn. And other ones are kinetic, or those little hands-on learners that are on top of everything, touching everything. Development occurs in a number of different areas. The main ones are motor, language, social skills, cognitive, and self-help. It follows a logical order, like for example, from head to toes, from torso to fingers and toes, to supporting your head until walk. So it goes from simple to complex, like for example, when they first learn to grasp an object and until they finally learn to write. As previously mentioned, it's a combination of nature and nurture. It occurs in stages, and it's a combination of maturation and learning. If you have concerns with your child's development, before panicking, answer these 3 questions. Does the behavior or lack of it occur in different settings? Like for example, at home, at childcare, at grandma's, at family outings? All children demonstrate some of this behavior some of the time and is not necessarily considered a risk. Children must be observed in a variety of situations. Second question, do you observe more than one concerning behavior or lack of it? All children demonstrate some of these behaviors some of the time, and it's not necessarily, again, a risk. One of the most common one is when kids start walking and they are walking on the tippy toes, and parents panic, oh, is that a sign of autism? No, it could be many things. What is important is to realize is this lasting more than 6 months, or is this behavior significantly behind compared to children that are 6 months younger or 6 months older? Always verify developmental charts, and you will see that they have flexible age ranges. Your most useful tool is knowing what is expected or what is normal. Sorry. If still you have doubts with your child's development, your first resource should be your pediatrician or medical practitioner. You can also review the developmental charts that are available. A good source is the ones that are at 0 to 3 on the web page. You can also access the Easter Seals Blake Foundation web page. They have the age and stages questionnaire. It's divided by different ages for kids from birth to 5 years old, and it's designed for parents to answer questions in the 5 main areas of development, and it will let you know if your child is lacking some areas or not, and it's a free resource that you can get and verify if your concerns are real or not. Finally, you can also get a professional free assessment an additional support, contacting the Arizona Early Intervention Program. They provide services from children and families from birth until the child turns 3 years old. What do you need to know about your child's temperament? Can we modify it? Is there a right temperament? Would you like to teach your child new ways to behave? Easier to say than done. Children are born with a biologically based personality that hardly changes as they grow up. This temperament predicts the way a child will interact with their environment and how will socialize. As parents, we teach them how to be their best, but hardly will be able to change their natural temperament. Temperament can be divided into three main categories: those that are flexible, fearful, or feisty. Usually children won't fit on just one type. It's usually a combination. They have an inclination or a tendency to be more one type than others, but depending on some different situations and times, they might even move from one temperament to another. Temperament is composed of 9 traits, as listed in this table. Children and adults will present different levels or intensity for each one. For example, a child may be very active, but with a low level of distractibility and a very high persistence. This child will probably be one that keeps trying and trying until they accomplish a new task or skill. Or those that sometimes we miscall them as stubborn, which is not an appropriate term. A good exercise for parents and caregivers is to identify their temperament match, or if their temperaments match or differ. Using this table, you will place your initials, the initials of your child on the continuum for each trait based on your observation. Let's use the previous example. For a very active child with a low level of distractibility and a very high persistence. So this way you will classify in which part of this your child falls. Once you do it, all the traits with your child's temperament, I invite you to do the same with yours. Then analyze where your temperament is similar or different to your child's. Remember, it's your responsibility as an adult to make the adjustment to create what is called a good fit. You need to adapt to your child. It's not the other way. You want to support your child to be their best, but you are the adult that understands how to do so. It's not the other way. Why are routines needed and how they help children? Routines boost the children's emotional development by helping them to feel safe and to develop good habits, because they provide the 2 key ingredients necessary for learning: relationships and repetition. Routines are a very important part of each day and helps babies and toddlers to learn self-control. They meet children's basic needs, reducing the amount of power struggles. They provide opportunities for learning and development. They help develop a sense of security and control by guiding positive behavior and safety. They provide predictability and help children cope with transitions. And they support competence and confidence, which make parents happier and feel satisfied. Finally, I just want you to remember, parents are the true experts on their children, and that there is no one-size-fits-all family or way to do things, approaching or to raise your children. You need to accept your uniqueness and even to defend it if it's needed. I hope that with this very brief webinar, you clarify some common misconceptions, you understood the basics, and I was able to help you to become a more confident parent. At this moment, I will stop, and if you have any question or comment that you would like me to address, I invite you to write it on the chat, and I will answer it or comment on it verbally. You can also ask anything that was or wasn't covered in this presentation. While you write your questions, I will ask you for a little favor. I will open a second, or I'm looking for, it's a poll that I would like you to answer as well. I think I will have to email it. I cannot open it right now. It's your feedback on this presentation. But I cannot, I apologize, I cannot open it right now. I will email it to you and I will appreciate your feedback. If there's no question, I will just say thank you for joining me today. And I hope you found this presentation helpful. Thank you and have a nice day.